Imagine a future where humanity's footprint extends far beyond Earth, where lunar bases hum with activity. This vision may be closer than we think, thanks to a groundbreaking discovery by India's recent moon mission. Sulfur. This vital chemical element, detected near the moon's south pole, could be the key to constructing infrastructure on our celestial neighbor. For the first time, this sought-after element has been found on Earth's natural satellite. On our own planet, sulfur is commonly found near volcanoes, and its presence on the moon speaks volumes about the satellite's volcanic history and the atmospheric conditions of its ancient past. The mission's rover made this monumental discovery less than a week after its historic touchdown, around 70 degrees from the moon's south pole, on August 23, 2023. This successful landing etched India's name in history as the fourth country to safely land a mission on the moon. More than that, it was the first spacecraft ever to touch down so close to the lunar South Pole. This region holds strategic importance, as it's believed to harbor significant deposits of water ice. Imagine the possibilities. Future missions could potentially harvest this ice, transforming it into drinking water for lunar inhabitants, or even into rocket fuel, powering further exploration of the cosmos. For 2 weeks, the lander diligently collected data, primarily focused on analyzing the moon's soil and its incredibly thin atmosphere. Meanwhile, the solar-powered Pragyan rover embarked on its quest to locate frozen water beneath the lunar surface. But the mission didn't stop there. On September 3rd, the lander achieved another astonishing feat. It fired up its engines and lifted itself approximately 16 inches into the air before executing a precise hop, landing a short distance, about 12 to 16 inches, from its original position. This seemingly small hop is, in reality, a monumental achievement. The ability to lift a lander off the lunar surface is crucial for future missions, proving the feasibility of safely returning soil samples, or even astronauts, back to Earth after a lunar expedition. As September approached, the Indian spacecraft was placed into a dormant, sleeping mode. The looming 14-day lunar night presented a challenge, as the spacecraft wasn't designed to collect scientific data during this period of darkness. However, the mission had already yielded incredible insights. One significant finding involved measuring the temperature of the moon's topsoil at varying depths. Surprisingly, the surface of the satellite in that region was far hotter than anticipated. While scientists believed the temperature might range between 68 and 86 degrees Fahrenheit, it soared to around 158 degrees Fahrenheit, significantly higher than expected. Another groundbreaking discovery confirmed the presence of several key chemical elements, including oxygen. Furthermore, the data transmitted by the spacecraft validated the existence of aluminum, calcium, iron, titanium, silicon, and other elements on the lunar surface near the South Pole. The rover also utilized specialized instruments designed to detect quakes and rumbles beneath the lunar surface to record some seismic activity. This brings us back to the sulfur detected by the rover's spectroscope. Scientists are now working tirelessly to determine whether this element formed naturally on the surface or if it's a result of past volcanic activity or a meteor strike. But the surprises didn't end there. Another astonishing find on the moon is a rock, and it may be the oldest known rock from Earth. A tiny chip, measuring just 0.7 inches wide, included in a large rock collection brought back to our planet by Apollo astronauts, may actually be a 4-billion-year-old fragment of Earth. This incredible discovery could help us piece together a more complete picture of the intense bombardment that early Earth endured at the dawn of its existence. The story might unfold like this. Soon after the rock formed on Earth, a massive asteroid impact could have blasted it into space. At that time, our planet's satellite was 3 times closer to Earth than it is today. The force of the collision was so immense that this chunk of terrestrial rock found its way to the moon. Later, this fragment became embedded in a lunar breccia, a type of rock formed from fragments of other rocks. Eventually, this ancient rock was brought back home to Earth by the Apollo 14 astronauts. While scientists had previously discovered meteorites originating from Mars and the Moon, this marked the first time a rock from the Moon was identified as a terrestrial meteorite. Further analysis revealed that the rock had formed in a water-rich environment, at temperatures and pressures consistent with those found approximately 12 miles beneath the surface of our planet. In 2019, China's Chang'e 4 mission achieved a historic milestone by landing on the far side of the moon. The mission's rover played a crucial role in helping researchers visualize structures hidden deep beneath the lunar surface, unveiling billions of years of lunar history. The U-22 rover made this discovery using its lunar penetrating radar. It peered deep into the moon's surface, listening to the echoes of sound waves bouncing back off structures concealed from view beneath the lunar surface. Originally, the concept involved constructing this secure vault within the vast network of lava tubes snaking beneath the lunar surface. But this approach introduced unacceptable dangers. The initial design depended on a sophisticated solar-powered cooling system, and any unexpected power failure would be catastrophic, resulting in the annihilation of all precious samples. However, the scientists had an idea. What if the vault were built in a perpetually shadowed area, locked in a state of eternal freeze? Such a vault wouldn't require any power whatsoever, nor any human maintenance. A stroke of genius. It seems almost too perfect to be true, and, predictably, challenges abound. Dust, for example, poses a constant threat on the moon, relentlessly infiltrating every nook and cranny. If the storage requires airtight seals, a dust mitigation system is essential. Sadly, such a system remains purely theoretical. For the moment, this lunar vault is a concept, not a viable solution. 40 feet. Imagine standing there. But let's face it, you want to know about real things, not just ideas. So, here's something tangible for you. The moon is littered with bags of human waste, carefully sealed and left behind. By some estimates, there are approximately 96 of these bags you would probably prefer to never encounter. But who knows what secrets they hold? It could be any byproduct of the human body, preserved in the vacuum of space. So, should you ever find yourself on the moon and stumble upon a mysterious bag, resist the temptation to peek inside. Instead, hand it over to the scientists. They are, supposedly, eager to get their hands on them. Humans are remarkable in a somewhat unfortunate way. We have barely established a foothold on the moon, yet already, roughly 200 tons of junk are scattered across its surface. It accumulates as if we're looking at a teenager's bedroom instead of a celestial body. Alongside the rather unappealing bags of human waste, you'll discover discarded cameras, drills, towels, brushes, rakes, and a host of other technical equipment. And, surprisingly, a falcon's feather. The story goes that during the final moonwalk of Apollo 15, David Scott produced a falcon's feather and a hammer to demonstrate Galileo's theory. In the absence of air resistance, objects fall at the same rate, regardless of their mass. But amidst all this lunar debris, there is a piece of art. It could be said that the moon, if it doesn't host the first art museum, at least boasts a small exhibition. The crew of Apollo 15 carried a 3.5-inch aluminum figure to the moon. This sculpture, created by a Belgian artist, is called Fallen Astronaut, and it rests on its side alongside a plaque bearing the names of astronauts and cosmonauts who gave their lives to the pursuit of space exploration. But the inventory of strange objects on the moon doesn't stop there. Should you ever find yourself short on cash while visiting the moon, you might just be in luck. A stack of $2 bills was simply forgotten there. Yes, a considerable amount of material has accumulated since 1969, when humanity first set foot on the lunar surface. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Our natural satellite was first observed through a telescope in 1609. But what is its true age? To understand that, we must first consider how the moon came into existence. Back in the mid-1980s, a gathering of scientists in Hawaii sought to unravel the mystery of the moon's origin. They arrived at a compelling hypothesis. The moon likely formed from material ejected from our very own planet, Earth. Imagine this: a Mars-sized object colliding with the early Earth, sending molten debris hurtling into space. Over eons, this ejected material coalesced, gradually forming the moon we see today. This theory elegantly explains many puzzles. For instance, the moon's unusually small iron core had long perplexed scientists. The answer, it turns out, is quite simple. The moon originated from Earth's outer layers, which are relatively poor in iron. And that pale crust of the moon? It consists of minerals that floated to the surface as the molten moon slowly cooled. Initially, the moon orbited incredibly close to Earth, but it has been steadily drifting away at a rate of approximately 2 inches per year, even as you watch this video. Determining precisely when all of this occurred, however, is a challenge. The Apollo astronauts brought back numerous moon rocks, which aided scientists in estimating the moon's age. The oldest of these rocks date back roughly 435 billion years, approximately 200 million years after the formation of our solar system. So, here's the conundrum. There is no definitive birth date for the moon, but several intriguing theories exist. One suggests that the age of these rocks implies that the moon is approximately 4.35 billion years old. However, some scientists studying the formation of planets argue that most of the material in the early solar system coalesced well before that 200 million year mark. They contend that a massive impact capable of creating the moon occurring so late in the solar system's history seems improbable. This implies that the moon could in fact be older than 4.35 billion years. The mystery endures. Let's consider an intriguing idea. As the moon gradually distanced itself from Earth, it might have undergone intense heating episodes. Picture Io, one of Jupiter's volcanically active moons, as a parallel. The immense gravitational force exerted by a larger celestial body can repeatedly stretch and compress a smaller one. This process generates heat, much like squeezing a rubber ball warms it up. Both Io and our moon experience this phenomenon, causing their rocks to heat up. Now, rocks contain radioactive elements that function as internal clocks, aiding scientists in determining their age. However, there's a catch. If the moon experienced excessive heating, these clocks would reset, restarting their timekeeping only after the cooling phase. Therefore, those rocks dated at approximately 435 billion years old might not truly represent the moon's birth date. Instead, they could indicate a period of intense tidal heating. This compellingly suggests that the moon's formation occurred even earlier than previously believed. Imagine Neil Armstrong dedicating over 3 years to prepare for his lunar mission. To counteract the effects of microgravity, he had to master sideways walking, suspended at an angle and strapped in, simulating movement along walls. His physical and mental endurance was pushed to the limit with a stringent diet and sleep schedule. In space, his meals would consist of dehydrated beef and vegetables sealed in packages. In those early days of space exploration, astronauts underwent rigorous survival training in diverse environments: deserts, jungles, open seas, and even the Arctic. It was less structured than today's programs, more of a trial by fire. Picture this: dropping someone in the middle of nowhere, devoid of supplies, and observing if they could survive. Before setting foot on the moon, Armstrong meticulously studied rock samples in the Grand Canyon, explored ancient volcanic formations at the Nevada National Security Site, and examined gas vents, lava lakes, and pit craters across various locations in Hawaii. On July 20, 1969, Armstrong enjoyed a hearty breakfast before the momentous launch: steak, eggs, toast, juice, and coffee. Doctors prescribed a low-residue meal, minimizing the need for bathroom breaks soon after. It took him 109 hours and 42 minutes to traverse the 240,000 miles to the lunar surface, landing in the Sea of Tranquility. While the Ocean of Storms or the Central Bay were considered, the Sea of Tranquility was chosen for its superior visibility, relatively smooth terrain, and accessibility with minimal propellant. As he descended to approximately 500 feet above the lunar surface, Armstrong skillfully maneuvered the spacecraft manually, ensuring a landing away from a hazardous crater. He hovered for about 90 seconds, carefully adjusting the position until he found a safe spot. Upon successful touchdown, he immediately radioed Mission Control in Houston, Texas, uttering the now iconic words, "The Eagle has landed." Slowly and deliberately, he descended the ladder of the lunar module. A television camera, affixed to the craft, documented his every move, transmitting the signal back to Earth where hundreds of millions eagerly awaited. At precisely 10:56 p.m. EDT, Armstrong's boots touched the lunar soil. He proclaimed, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Despite the scheduled sleep period before the first moonwalk, Armstrong, driven by excitement, chose to venture out earlier than planned. Had he walked on the moon without his protective equipment, he would have encountered a peculiar odor, musty and sulfuric. He did get a whiff of it upon returning to the lunar module. Lunar dust clung to his boots, spreading the odor throughout the cabin. He likened it to wet fireplace ashes or the scent lingering after a fireworks display. Who would have thought to pack a scented candle for a trip to the moon? Apart from the few who have walked on the moon, no one else knows exactly what the crew experienced. Even when lunar soil and rock samples were transported back to Earth in airtight containers, the smell mysteriously vanished upon opening them in the labs. Armstrong described the lunar surface as fine and powdery, yet he encountered no difficulty moving around. About 20 minutes later, another crew member joined him. The entire moonwalk lasted a little over 2 hours. During this time, Armstrong and his team deployed various instruments on the lunar surface. One device was designed to precisely measure the distance between Earth and the moon by timing the round trip of a laser beam. Another was intended to measure moonquakes and potential seismic activity on our celestial neighbor. Imagine a world far removed from our own, a world touched by celestial events of unimaginable scale. We're talking about the moon, a celestial body that, after eons of silence, revealed secrets of its own tumultuous past, secrets etched in the scars of ancient meteor impacts. These impacts, colossal events in their own right, lead us to a stunning discovery. The moon, seemingly inert, was once a surprisingly active place. Today, we understand that while lunar quakes dwarf in comparison to Earth's most violent tremors, their reverberations can persist for an astonishingly long duration, sometimes stretching to an hour, a stark contrast to the fleeting nature of earthquakes on our home planet. Now, let's journey back to a pivotal moment in human history: the Apollo 11 mission. The brave astronauts, venturing into the unknown, meticulously gathered around 50 pounds of lunar rock and soil samples. Invaluable treasures that would unlock countless secrets about the moon's composition and history. They also meticulously documented their surroundings, capturing a multitude of photographs that immortalized the stark alien beauty of the lunar terrain. And of course, there's the iconic image of the American flag planted firmly in the lunar soil, a symbol of human ambition and ingenuity. In a moment that bridged the vast gulf between Earth and the moon, astronaut Neil Armstrong even had a brief conversation with President Richard Nixon. A short exchange, less than a minute, but one that resonated with the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. Before his return to the lunar module, Armstrong embarked on one final crucial task: a walk to what is now known as East Crater, a point located approximately 65 yards east of the landing site. This was the furthest distance he ventured from the spacecraft during the mission, a distance roughly equivalent to half a football field. With his tasks complete, Armstrong retreated back into the lunar module, sealing the hatch behind him and preparing for a well-deserved rest. However, as the crew prepared for liftoff, they encountered an unexpected challenge. The bulky design of their spacesuits had inadvertently led to the breakage of the ignition switch for the ascent engine. A potentially catastrophic situation, but these were men of extraordinary resourcefulness. Undeterred, they ingeniously used a part of a pen to manually engage the circuit breaker, initiating the launch sequence and averting disaster. At 1:54 p.m., the lunar module, affectionately nicknamed Eagle, began its ascent, carrying Armstrong and his crew back towards lunar orbit. Beyond the scientific equipment left behind on the moon's surface, the astronauts also left a plaque, a testament to humanity's first steps on another world. The plaque read, "Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon. July 1969, AD. We came in peace for all mankind." Years later, Armstrong revealed that NASA had carefully calculated and limited their time on the moon due to uncertainties surrounding the spacesuit's ability to withstand the extreme temperature fluctuations of the lunar environment. Soaring highs of 260 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and plummeting lows of 280 degrees Fahrenheit at night. Upon their return to Earth, Armstrong and his team faced a new set of challenges. Having been exposed to potentially unknown space particles, they were placed in planetary protection quarantine as soon as their space capsule safely splashed down in the Pacific Ocean on July 24th. This quarantine for the Apollo 11 astronauts indirectly led to an invention that would revolutionize kitchens worldwide: the microwave oven. During their initial days in quarantine, the astronauts resided in a mobile quarantine facility, MQF. While the MQF provided basic amenities such as comfortable chairs, bunks, a toilet, and showers, it lacked the space for elaborate cooking facilities. To minimize the risk of fire and provide a convenient way for the astronauts to prepare meals, NASA engineers developed the original countertop microwave oven. Today, you can see this pioneering microwave on display in a museum in Oakland, California. Despite his extraordinary journey to the moon, Armstrong later claimed that he would never again reach for the stars. However, his spirit of exploration remained undimmed. In 1985, he joined a team of renowned explorers, including mountaineer Edmund Hillary, aviator Steve Fawcett, and photographer Patrick Morrow, on an expedition to the North Pole, reaching the pole on April 6, 1985. Armstrong explained that he wanted to experience the Earth's icy pole firsthand, having only observed it from the lunar surface. The Apollo 11 mission remained an unforgettable chapter in Armstrong's life. In 2015, the Smithsonian Institution revealed that Armstrong had secretly kept a cloth bag filled with small parts from the lunar module. This collection included his waist tether, utility lights and their brackets, an emergency wrench, and the optical sight that had been mounted above Armstrong's window. It also contained the data acquisition camera that recorded the iconic footage of Armstrong's first steps on the moon. Armstrong kept these mementos hidden for decades, even from his official biographer, until his widow, Carol, discovered them. He simply referred to them as trash he wanted to bring back. Now let's consider a fascinating aspect of the universe: time itself. Time can be relative, stretching or shrinking, depending on your location. Ascend to the summit of an extremely high mountain, and time will subtly pass faster compared to being in a valley below. This phenomenon is due to gravity's influence on the fabric of space-time. While these differences are imperceptible in our daily lives, they hold significant importance for scientists and space agencies as they prepare for future lunar missions. We'll delve into the reasons why these minuscule time variations matter a bit later. For now, let's turn our attention to the present, where a new space race is unfolding. Numerous countries are setting their sights on establishing long-term bases. Imagine a future, not so distant, where human footprints mark the lunar surface once more. As humanity extends its reach to the moon, the need for precise and reliable timekeeping becomes paramount. But here's the catch: the moon doesn't dance to the same beat as Earth. A lunar day, subtly but significantly, outpaces its terrestrial counterpart. This difference, a mere 56 microseconds, might seem negligible, but like grains of sand accumulating over time, it can snowball into substantial discrepancies, potentially throwing lunar missions into disarray. To ensure the seamless operation of these missions and prevent any temporal drift, NASA, in collaboration with scientists across the globe, is embarking on an ambitious endeavor: the creation of an entirely new lunar timescale. The deadline? 2026, the very year NASA aims to return astronauts to the moon after a half-century hiatus. But this isn't just about establishing a moon-specific time zone. It's about crafting a comprehensive system that accounts for the moon's accelerated pace and maintains synchronization with Earth's established time systems. Only through such precision can missions hope to run without a hitch. Consider this: even on Earth, our timekeeping is a marvel of complexity. While time might seem like a straightforward concept, maintaining its accuracy is a precise science, especially given its pervasive influence on our daily lives. To keep global time coordinated, scientists rely on Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC. This global time standard is anchored to ultra-precise atomic clocks strategically positioned around the world. These atomic clocks are technological wonders, measuring time based on the unwavering vibrations of atoms. This inherent stability and accuracy ensures that UTC remains consistent for everyone, everywhere. Moreover, these atomic clocks account for the subtle variations in the passage of time caused by gravity. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time slows ever so slightly the closer you are to the Earth's center. Thus, atomic clocks closer to the Earth's surface tick slower due to the stronger gravitational pull. By distributing atomic clocks across varying elevations, scientists effectively average out these minute time differences. For even greater precision, scientists occasionally introduce leap seconds to compensate for natural fluctuations in Earth's rotation speed. This intricate process of keeping everyone on the same temporal page underpins the functioning of the modern world. After all, precise timing is the bedrock of global trading, GPS navigation, and even internet communications. But the moon operates under different rules. Our celestial companion possesses a weaker gravitational field than Earth, causing clocks on the moon to tick faster. Without correction, these lunar clocks would gradually drift away from Earth's time, potentially causing havoc when astronauts need to maintain close communication with Earth or navigate the lunar terrain. NASA's solution? A lunar timescale. The plan isn't to force moon clocks to mirror Earth time exactly. Instead, the goal is to establish a unique system that measures lunar time accurately while allowing for easy conversion to Earth time. Think of it as building an entirely new temporal framework specifically for the moon. To bring this lunar time system to fruition, NASA is collaborating with international partners like the European Space Agency. Together, they are establishing LunaNet, a lunar network akin to the Internet for the moon. LunaNet will ensure that all lunar clocks operate in harmony and align with Earth-based time. Just as atomic clocks worldwide coordinate for UTC on Earth, lunar clocks will become part of this expansive LunaNet. Scientists are no strangers to managing time in space. Global Positioning System, GPS, satellites, orbiting Earth at an altitude of roughly 12,550 miles are equipped with atomic clocks. These clocks tick faster than their counterparts on Earth's surface due to their greater distance from Earth's gravitational pull. So, how does GPS navigation maintain its accuracy? The answer lies in the ingenious methods scientists have developed to slow down those clocks to match Earth time. This experience with GPS clocks provides a solid foundation for the challenges of lunar timekeeping. In some respects, managing time on the moon might prove simpler than managing GPS. Scientists can work with lunar clocks in their natural state, rather than adjusting them to perfectly synchronize with Earth. By establishing accurate lunar time from the outset, scientists hope to sidestep some of the complexities encountered with GPS satellites. And now, for the truly fascinating part. To ensure the long-term viability of lunar timekeeping, NASA and international regulators must tackle an unprecedented challenge: defining who has the authority to manage time on the moon. Imagine, millions of years from now, future scientists are trying to piece together our present. They'll need a reliable way to measure time, a universal clock. NASA and its partners are currently working on something similar, but for the moon. Their ambitious plan involves establishing a network of clocks, both on the lunar surface and in orbit around it. Some of these timekeepers will be incredibly precise atomic clocks designed for longevity. Others will be crystal oscillators, offering excellent stability over shorter durations. Working together, these clocks will form a synchronized network that scientists can depend on for accurate timing. Now, these aren't your average clocks. Atomic clocks designed for space travel come with a hefty price tag, potentially costing several $1,000,000 apiece. Crystal oscillators are more budget-friendly, but their accuracy drifts over extended periods. Once deployed, these clocks will operate as part of LunaNet, NASA's comprehensive framework for all things related to lunar-based timekeeping and data communication. Think of LunaNet as an internet for the moon, facilitating lunar operations. Various space agencies will contribute to this network, much like internet service providers do here on Earth. But there's another layer of complexity: the moon's unique rotation. A single day on the moon lasts far longer than on Earth, roughly equivalent to 28 Earth days. Furthermore, the lunar equator experiences about 14 days of continuous sunlight, followed by 14 days of complete darkness. Unlike Earth's consistent day-night cycle, the Moon's south pole, where NASA plans to establish future lunar missions, features regions that are perpetually lit or permanently shadowed. This poses a significant challenge for astronauts trying to keep track of time. To address this, NASA and its collaborators hope to involve numerous countries through international organizations like the International Astronomical Union. The goal is to achieve widespread agreement on a standardized lunar timescale, ensuring that all lunar explorers are synchronized. But the implications extend far beyond the Moon. Establishing a lunar time system could pave the way for future missions to even more distant destinations, such as Mars. The knowledge and experience gained from this lunar project will serve as a valuable blueprint for managing time on other planets. This is why scientists are treating the lunar project with such seriousness. For astronauts living and working on the Moon, a consistent and reliable time system will be crucial, not only for navigation, but also for conducting scientific experiments and managing daily routines. NASA's Lunar Time Project is truly pioneering. It represents the first step toward managing time as humanity ventures deeper into space. If successful, future astronauts will have access to not only Earth time, but also Moon time, and perhaps one day, even Mars time. Accurate timekeeping is paramount, both for scientific understanding of the passage of time on the Moon and for establishing the necessary infrastructure to support future missions. Scientists are eager to create a timescale from the ground up, applying all the lessons learned from timekeeping on Earth to a brand new system on the Moon. Now, let's shift gears and imagine something completely different. How about a round of golf? Not here on Earth, but on the Moon. Let's travel back in time. 50 years, to when one astronaut transformed the lunar surface into the most extraordinary golf course imaginable. Every golfer knows the frustration of landing in a sand trap, but imagine facing an entire surface composed of ultrafine powder. That's precisely what Alan Shepard, a NASA astronaut, encountered during the Apollo 14 mission. Taking a brief respite from his duties, he showcased his unique golfing skills for a global audience watching from Earth. After his initial shot, he enthusiastically took another swing. To him, it seemed as though the ball traveled endlessly. But let's return to reality for a moment. Thanks to research conducted by the United States Golf Association, USGA, we have some concrete data. They determined that Shepard's first lunar golf ball traveled 24 yards, while his second soared for an impressive 40 yards. How does this compare to typical golf shots back on Earth? Under normal gravity, a standard swing usually propels the ball around 216 yards. This highlights the fact that while we've enhanced our golf game on Earth with advanced technology and training, the Moon's low-gravity environment presents an entirely different playing field. Let's give Shepard some credit. Moon golf isn't as straightforward as it appears. His club wasn't a standard model from a sporting goods store. Instead, it was a makeshift creation. A lunar sample collector with a club head attached. Furthermore, he was encased in a bulky spacesuit. Imagine attempting to swing while wearing an outfit as rigid as cardboard. Encumbered by all that equipment, Shepard could only manage a one-handed swing. Fancy experiencing something similar? While you might not be able to play golf on the Moon anytime soon, you can try your hand at underwater golf. Some say the conditions are comparable. But the story takes a fascinating turn. The United States Golf Association Archive, USGAA, wasn't content with simply taking astronaut Alan Shepard's word for where those golf balls ended up. They wanted to investigate the matter thoroughly. To begin, they meticulously examined ultra-high-resolution footage from the Apollo 14 mission. Supplementing this, they utilized incredibly detailed images captured by NASA's specialized lunar camera, launched in 2009. By analyzing this wealth of visual data, they were able to painstakingly map out the trajectory of those two historic golf balls. Shepard clearly cherished his uniquely crafted golf club, so much so that he was determined to bring it back home. Seems simple enough, right? However, during those early Apollo missions, astronauts were under strict orders to leave behind any non-essential items to maximize space for the precious cargo of moon rocks they were bringing back to Earth. But this club was an exception. Sometime during the 1970s, this interstellar golf club found a new and honored home at the USGAA Museum in New Jersey. Unlike your everyday golf club, this one boasted a unique design. It was meticulously crafted from lightweight aluminum and durable Teflon. Moreover, it was ingeniously designed to fold down, allowing it to fit snugly within the confined spaces of the lunar lander. How did this whole idea of playing golf on the moon even originate? Back in 1970, the legendary comedian and avid golfer Bob Hope paid a visit to NASA headquarters. Inspired by Hope's well-known passion for golf, the idea of moon golf took root in Shepard's mind. To transform this dream into reality, Shepard collaborated with a professional golf instructor and NASA's team of expert tech specialists. Together, they engineered a golf club that not only met Shepard's needs, but also adhered to NASA's stringent safety regulations. But Alan Shepard wasn't about to turn his lunar golf game into a surprise stunt. Remember, traveling to the moon involved following incredibly strict protocols. It wasn't as if they could just decide to have a picnic up there on a whim. So, Shepard took the initiative to ensure that NASA officials were fully on board with his impromptu game of golf. Initially, they were skeptical, but they eventually gave him the green light. Only after Shepard passionately presented his plan and also promised that he would only proceed if the mission was progressing smoothly. Driven to make this lunar golf experience perfect, Shepard prepared meticulously. The story goes that he would don his bulky spacesuit and sneak off to secluded locations to practice his swing. Decades later, he would still reflect fondly on his lunar escapade, knowing that he was the first and only golfer to ever swing a club on the moon. It's not just golf balls that astronauts left behind during their lunar voyages. Between 1969 and 1972, the year of the last moon landing, a surprising number of objects were left on the moon's surface. Each time you gaze up at the moon in the night sky, remember that there's a touching family photo up there, along with some sophisticated scientific instruments, a small commemorative statue, a collection of, well, human waste bags, and of course those iconic American flags. Years have passed, and all those items technically remain on the moon, although they have undoubtedly suffered from the harsh conditions of the lunar environment. While some items were deliberately left behind, holding special significance for the astronauts, leaving other items behind also meant they could bring back precious moon samples. It's similar to needing to create extra space in your luggage for souvenirs at the end of a vacation. Does NASA even maintain a comprehensive list of all the items left on the moon? The truth is, not really. In fact, one dedicated team attempted to compile a record of some of the items and discovered an astounding 106 items left behind from the Apollo 11 mission alone. And that figure doesn't even include the iconic footprints left by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. The largest items at each landing site were predominantly scientific instruments, such as components of their lunar module and experiments designed for in-depth lunar study. There were also poignant tokens, such as the Apollo 11 plaque and a special disc containing messages from world leaders. Some accounts suggest that the astronauts also brought along medals to honor heroic cosmonauts. And they even left behind a gold olive branch, an ancient symbol of peace. Later moon missions incorporated a bit more lightheartedness, as demonstrated by Alan Shepard with his lunar golf game. However, the most heartwarming moment arguably belongs to astronaut Charlie Duke. During the Apollo 16 mission, he left a photograph of his family on the lunar surface. It was as if he wanted them to share in the adventure, even from afar. However, it's worth noting that those photographs have likely deteriorated due to the moon's intense exposure to solar radiation. There might even be a tiny art museum located up there on our celestial neighbor. Let me explain. There exists a miniature art piece known as the Moon Museum. It's a ceramic chip, roughly the size of your fingernail, and it was created by an artist named Forrest Myers. This diminutive object showcases miniature artworks from 6 talented artists. Among them is none other than Andy Warhol, the renowned artist celebrated for his iconic soup can, paintings, and celebrity portraits. Forrest Myers stated that his goal was to have his mini-museum placed on the moon. However, there was a significant hurdle. NASA officials were not particularly enthusiastic about the idea. Nevertheless, Meyer shared with the press that he managed to pass the art chip to an engineer working on the Apollo 12 mission. Imagine a clandestine act of cosmic vandalism. An engineer operating in the shadows covertly attaches the Moon Museum, a tiny ceramic tile bearing artwork, to the leg of a lunar lander. The twist? These lunar landers, the workhorses of humanity's reach for the stars, were never designed to return home. They remain on the moon, silent monuments to a bygone era. Now, NASA has never officially confirmed this story, so take it with a grain of cosmic dust. But why leave anything behind? Sometimes it was about making a statement, a silent declaration of human presence. Other times, the reasons were purely pragmatic. Consider the Apollo 11 mission. Facing critical weight constraints for their return journey, the astronauts had to make tough choices. They created a makeshift cleanup spot, jettisoning anything deemed non-essential to ensure their safe passage back to Earth. Leaving artifacts on the moon isn't so different from how we leave things behind here on Earth. Just as archaeologists meticulously excavate our ancient settlements, piecing together the lives of our ancestors, the remnants of the Apollo missions offer invaluable insights into those groundbreaking lunar expeditions. Some items, like the flagpole and the camera that broadcast the iconic first steps, had fulfilled their purpose. Even the tools used to collect lunar samples were sacrificed, deemed less precious than the lunar rocks themselves. What is the current state of these lunar relics? Scientists can only speculate. NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has captured glimpses of their shadows, confirming their continued presence. The official equipment, engineered to withstand the harsh lunar environment, likely fares better. But the personal items, exposed to the relentless radiation and extreme temperature fluctuations, have undoubtedly seen better days. The Apollo missions were the culmination of years of intense preparation. The astronauts, meticulously preparing for their voyage to another world, spent over 3 years honing their skills and knowledge. They studied rock formations in the Grand Canyon, explored ancient volcanic landscapes at the Nevada National Security Site, and investigated gas vents, lava lakes, and pit craters in the volcanic landscapes of Hawaii. To adapt to the disorienting effects of microgravity, they trained by being strapped to walls and walking sideways. Rigorous diets and sleep schedules pushed their bodies to the limit, ensuring they were physically and mentally prepared for the challenges of space travel. The journey to the moon was a test of endurance. It took 3 days, 3 hours, and 49 minutes to reach the Sea of Tranquility, their chosen landing site. This location, offering good visibility and a relatively smooth surface, was selected to minimize propellant consumption. Upon arrival, the astronauts were struck by an unexpected sensation. The moon had a distinct smell. This isn't science fiction. This is the true story of Apollo 11, which touched down on the lunar surface on July 20th, 1969. Since that historic moment, 12 humans have walked on the moon. We see it as our celestial neighbor, but much remains shrouded in mystery. The moon perpetually shows us the same face, a consequence of synchronous rotation with Earth. This makes it seem as though it is always in the same fixed position. But it is, in fact, not fixed at all. It's constantly drifting away from Earth at a rate of approximately 1.5 inches per year. Despite the vast distance of 238.5 miles, the Earth and Moon are inextricably linked. The Moon's gravitational pull dictates the tides of our oceans, while the Earth, in turn, influences the Moon. Our planet is responsible for seismic activity on the Moon, known as moonquakes, which can last for up to half an hour. The Moon, which appears perfectly round to us on a clear night, is actually oval in shape. This lemon-like form is a result of Earth's gravitational pull. Beyond footprints, the Moon bears other traces of human presence. During the Apollo missions, astronauts left behind a variety of objects, including 2 golf balls, a drawing by Andy Warhol, and a message from Queen Elizabeth II. In 1972, astronaut Eugene Cernan, one of the last humans to walk on the Moon, etched his daughter's initials into the lunar surface. In the airless, weatherless environment of the Moon, the letters TDC could remain for eternity. Believe it or not, it's even possible to be allergic to the Moon. Harrison Jack Schmitt, An astronaut on the Apollo 17 mission spent time in a valley in the Sea of Serenity. Upon re-entering the lunar module, he carried moon dust with him. Imagine a world without the familiar rhythm of Earth's days and nights. Let's journey to our celestial neighbor, the moon, a place so close, yet so alien. Even here, in this seemingly barren landscape, surprises await. Consider the experiences of astronauts who once walked upon its dusty surface. One returned from his lunar excursion with a peculiar affliction: red eyes, sneezing fits, and a host of allergic reactions that lingered for 2 long hours. A stark reminder that even a brief sojourn in this environment can have profound effects. Despite its proximity, the moon operates on its own unique timescale. It possesses its own time zone, aptly named Lunar Standard Time. However, don't expect it to align with our earthly clocks. The lunar year is ingeniously divided into 12 days, each mirroring the length of a terrestrial month. And in a fitting tribute to human exploration, each of these lunar days bears the name of a different astronaut who has left their footprints on the moon. The lunar calendar commenced the very moment Neil Armstrong took his historic first step, marking Lunar Year 1, Day 1, on July 21st, 1969. The moon's atmosphere is incredibly thin. This absence of a substantial atmosphere creates extreme temperature fluctuations. Under direct sunlight, temperatures can soar to a scorching 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet, in the perpetually shadowed regions near the lunar poles, the mercury plunges to a frigid 400 degrees Fahrenheit. A world of stark contrasts. For millennia, humanity has sought to understand the moon's influence on our planet. In the Middle Ages, scholars and philosophers believed that the full moon could trigger various health conditions in certain individuals. This perceived connection led to those afflicted being labeled lunatics or even moonsick, a testament to the enduring fascination with our celestial companion. But humans aren't the only earthly creatures seemingly affected by the lunar cycles. Dog owners are statistically more likely to rush their furry friends to veterinary emergency rooms during a full moon, a peculiar correlation that remains unexplained. Popular culture often depicts wolves howling at the full moon. However, scientists have found no definitive link between wolf behavior and the lunar cycles. It appears this iconic image may simply be a captivating myth. The moon holds secrets on its far side as well. The South Pole Aitken Basin, the largest known crater in our entire solar system, is located there. This colossal depression stretches an astounding 1,550 miles in diameter. Imagine a crater the size of a continent. Adding to the moon's mystique are transient lunar phenomena, TLP. These are unusual flashes of light that have been observed on its surface for centuries. One of the earliest documented instances dates back to 1178, when monks in Canterbury reported seeing a flaming torch on the moon after sunset. But TLP aren't limited to mere flashes. Observers have described a range of strange occurrences, including gas-like mists, reddish, green, blue, or violet colorations, and even the darkening of specific areas. Are these anomalies a new phenomenon, or are we only now beginning to detect them with advanced technology? Scientists propose several theories to explain these events. Meteoric impacts, electrostatic activity, and even seismic activity within the moon itself could be responsible. The challenge lies in the fact that most TLP reports come from single observers or locations, making definitive explanations elusive. The possibility of seismic activity on the moon suggests that its surface is not as inert as we once believed. Lunar tremors could trigger the release of light-reflecting gases, resulting in the luminous displays we observe. Some scientists even speculate that residual geologic activity might be at play, a surprising notion for a world long considered lifeless. Even the moon's color is not constant. From beyond Earth's atmosphere, it appears as a brown-tinted gray. But as we gaze upon it from our planet, its hue shifts depending on atmospheric conditions. A moon near the horizon often takes on a yellow or red tint. A rarer blue-colored moon indicates the presence of larger dust particles in the atmosphere. And the elusive purple moon, its origins remain a subject of ongoing investigation. While the presence or absence of water on the moon is a key consideration for future lunar settlements, radiation poses an even greater challenge. Recent studies highlight the significant risks associated with prolonged exposure to the moon's surface radiation. Imagine standing on the surface of the moon. The radiation here isn't just a little stronger, it's a constant barrage. In fact, it's 5 to 10 times higher than what you'd experience on a transatlantic flight. To put that in perspective, it's a staggering 200 times greater than the radiation levels we're accustomed to on Earth. This harsh reality is a critical factor in future lunar explorations, like the ambitious Artemis project. Named after Apollo's sister Artemis, this isn't just about planting flags and taking pictures. The program's ultimate goal is to establish a permanent lunar base, a place where scientists can study the moon in relative safety. The Artemis project, which began in 2017, is already underway. The first uncrewed mission is scheduled to launch in the summer of 2022, with an estimated duration of 25 days. This robotic explorer will enter lunar orbit and then safely return to Earth, carrying crucial data that will pave the way for the 4-person mission planned for May 2024. Following that, Artemis 3, 4, and 5 are slated for launch in 2025, 2026, and 2027, respectively, with each mission lasting approximately 30 days. But there's another, potentially more immediate, threat lurking on the moon: volcanoes. For a long time, we believed the moon was a geologically dead world. We now know that lunar volcanoes aren't dormant. They could erupt at any moment. This revelation comes courtesy of China's Chang'e 5 mission, which brought lunar soil samples back to Earth. Within those samples lay a shocking secret: evidence suggesting volcanic eruptions occurred on the moon as recently as 123 million years ago. In geological terms, that's practically yesterday. But what does this mean for us back on Earth? We've long been aware of the moon's past volcanic activity, thanks to the dark regions known as lunar maria that mark its surface. These maria, those expansive dark plains that give the moon its distinctive appearance, are actually ancient lava flows dating back 3 to 3.8 billion years. Until recently, scientists believed these flows represented the end of the moon's volcanic era. The Chang'e 5 mission, however, unearthed lunar soil containing microscopic glass beads, and 3 of these tiny spheres held an extraordinary story. Formed approximately 123 million years ago, these beads are direct evidence of relatively recent volcanic eruptions, with an uncertainty range of just 15 million years. The discovery of these tiny beads is of immense significance due to their unique composition and rarity. Measuring a mere 20 to 400 microns in diameter, smaller than a grain of sand, these beads are unequivocally volcanic in origin. This sets them apart from most other lunar glass beads, which are typically formed by meteor impacts. When meteoroids strike the moon, the immense heat and pressure melt the surface rock, creating tiny glass beads that scatter across the lunar landscape. But the volcanic beads found in the Chang'e 5 samples were formed by magma erupting from deep within the moon's crust, cooling and solidifying into glass as it reached the surface. Using uranium-lead dating, a technique that measures the decay of uranium into lead within the beads, scientists were able to determine their age with remarkable precision. The results indicate that the last known volcanic activity on the moon occurred within the past 200 million years. A blink of an eye in the moon's 4.5 billion year history. This discovery also aligns with previous observations of unusual surface features known as irregular mare patches. These smooth, gently sloping mounds, surrounded by jagged rocky terrain, were first identified by NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter in 2014. These patches appear significantly younger than other lunar features, suggesting they may have been formed by volcanic eruptions less than 100 million years ago. Before the discovery of the Chang'e 5 glass beads, these irregular mare patches were among the strongest evidence for recent lunar volcanism. However, without direct confirmation, their origins remained uncertain. Now, the glass beads provide that crucial confirmation, proving that the moon was volcanically active far more recently than previously thought. These findings raise profound questions about the moon's internal structure and dynamics. How could the moon retain enough internal heat to sustain volcanic eruptions for so long? It was believed that the moon had cooled significantly after its formation 4.5 billion years ago, rendering it volcanically inert. Without plate tectonics or a substantial atmosphere, the moon should have shed its internal heat billions of years ago. Yet, the existence of these volcanic beads suggests the possibility of localized heat sources deep within the lunar mantle. Scientists speculate that heat-producing elements, such as potassium and thorium, may be concentrated in certain areas, creating small warm pockets that generate enough heat to melt rock and trigger isolated volcanic eruptions. But the implications of this discovery extend beyond simply rewriting the moon's geological history. It also adds an intriguing new dimension to ongoing investigations of transient lunar phenomena. Those fleeting sightings of ghostly glows or hazes reported by amateur astronomers. The possibility of transient lunar phenomena, TLP, those fleeting glows and changes on the moon's surface, remains a subject of debate. Skeptics often attribute them to atmospheric illusions here on Earth. However, a compelling alternative suggests small pockets of volcanic or outgassing activity beneath the lunar crust. Imagine gases, remnants of a once fiery past, escaping from below, creating these spectral displays. Could these mysterious glows be whispers of the moon's volcanic history? If volcanic activity still smolders within the moon, the implications for future lunar missions are immense. Picture this: astronauts in the coming decades harnessing geothermal energy to power their bases. Volcanic heat could melt ice into precious water, or even provide warmth for habitats burrowed into the perpetually frozen lunar soil. But these groundbreaking geological revelations aren't confined to our own celestial neighbor. We are expanding our understanding of volcanic moons far beyond the boundaries of our solar system. Consider the potential discovery of a volcanic exomoon orbiting the exoplanet WASP 49b, a staggering 635 light-years away. This suggests that volcanic activity may be a common characteristic among moons throughout the cosmos. Until recently, Jupiter's moon, Io, reigned supreme as the most volcanically active body known to science. However, researchers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory may have identified a new contender for this fiery crown. This potential exomoon first came to light when scientists detected an unusual cloud of sodium gas enveloping the exoplanet. These sodium clouds are rare phenomena in planetary atmospheres, and their presence can be a telltale sign of volcanic eruptions. The sodium cloud surrounding WASP 49b exhibited particularly peculiar behavior. It moved erratically, fluctuating in size and occupying a space far too vast to be explained by the exoplanet's own atmospheric conditions. Scientists theorize that this cloud could be generated by a volcanically active exomoon locked in orbit around WASP 49b. Volcanic moons, such as Io, are known to vent gases like sulfur dioxide, sodium, and potassium, which then coalesce into gigantic clouds around their parent planets. Io, for instance, routinely ejects enormous quantities of gas that form a cloud encircling Jupiter, a cloud up to 1,000 times the size of the gas giant itself. If a similar phenomenon is occurring around WASP 49b, the gas cloud could be a beacon, signaling volcanic activity on a distant exomoon. Observations from the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope in Chile appear to support this hypothesis. The sodium cloud surrounding WASP 49b is positioned high above the exoplanet's atmosphere and behaves in a manner inconsistent with the exoplanet's rapid 2.8 Earth-day orbit. This suggests that the cloud originates from a separate celestial body, most likely a volcanically active moon. Furthermore, WASP 49b and its host star are predominantly composed of hydrogen and helium, which makes the presence of a sodium cloud even more perplexing. The observed rate of sodium release, exceeding 220,000 pounds per second, points to an incredibly powerful volcanic source. Should scientists confirm the existence of this exomoon, it would mark the first definitive discovery of a volcanic exomoon. Back in our own solar system, Io remains a crucial celestial laboratory, helping us to understand the intricacies of volcanic moons. Recently, NASA's Juno spacecraft captured some of the closest images of Io since the Galileo mission, which took place over 25 years ago. Io's extreme volcanic activity is fueled by tidal heating, a consequence of the gravitational dance between Jupiter and its neighboring moons, like Europa. This constant tug of war generates immense friction within Io, producing heat that drives continuous volcanic eruptions. One of Juno's most exciting recent discoveries was a brand new volcano that materialized just south of Io's equator. Juno's images reveal a vast, complex volcanic region spanning approximately 111 by 111 miles. The truly astonishing aspect is that this volcanic feature was absent when Galileo imaged the same area in 1997. This new volcano formed in close proximity to the previously identified volcano, Kahek. Researchers emphasize that this newly formed volcanic structure underscores the dynamic and ever-changing nature of Io's surface. Io's equatorial region is a hotbed of volcanic activity, owing to the concentrated tidal heating it experiences. The most powerful eruptions unleash sulfurous gases and generate dazzling lava flows. These eruptions blanket the moon in colorful sulfur-rich deposits. JunoCam's images, captured from a distance of approximately 1,570 miles, showcase Io dramatically illuminated by sunlight reflected off Jupiter. Before us is a breathtaking view of its constantly evolving volcanic landscape. Despite these detailed observations, many enigmas surrounding Io's volcanism persist. Scientists are particularly interested in understanding how tidal heating influences Io's internal structure and whether it harbors a subsurface magma ocean. Furthermore, researchers are striving to decipher the triggers behind different types of eruptions, such as plumes versus lava flows, and how volcanic gases shape Io's surface and tenuous atmosphere. The study of Io and other potentially volcanic moons promises to unlock profound insights into the geological processes that shape celestial bodies throughout the universe. Imagine peering into the abyss, almost 1,000 feet beneath the lunar surface. Recent research suggests a landscape composed of layers upon layers of dust, soil, and fragmented rocks, extending down some 130 feet. But the discoveries don't stop there. Instruments have detected a hidden crater, a stark reminder of a colossal impact event from eons past, when a massive object collided violently with the moon. Let's journey back to a time when ancient lava flowed deep beneath the surface. Researchers propose that the shattered rocks surrounding this formation are remnants of that cataclysmic impact. Furthermore, they've observed that the volcanic rock layers thin as they approach the surface. This variation in thickness suggests a gradual decline in both the frequency and intensity of volcanic eruptions over vast stretches of time. Lunar volcanic activity, it seems, has been slowly fading since the moon's very formation, some 4.5 billion years ago. Now let's turn our gaze to the far side of the moon, a realm forever hidden from our direct view. Here lies one of the solar system's largest and most ancient impact craters, the South Pole Aitken Basin. From Earth, we can only glimpse its outer rim, a colossal chain of mountains hinting at the immense scale of what lies within. This gargantuan depression plunges 8 miles deep and stretches over 1,500 miles in diameter, encompassing a quarter of the moon's entire surface. Astronomers believe this crater owes its existence to an asteroid collision that occurred approximately 4 billion years ago. And now, consider this. A gigantic mass of metal, comparable in size to 4 Connecticuts, lurks beneath the lunar surface. Weighing in at a figure so immense it requires 18 zeros to express in pounds, this enigmatic anomaly resides approximately 180 miles beneath the South Pole Aitken Basin. Its discovery came about through data gathered by GRAIL, NASA's Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory mission. While examining this data, scientists detected a peculiar gravitational anomaly in a specific region of the moon's surface. Further investigation led them to conclude that some mysterious substance was exerting a considerable downward force on the basin floor. The origin of this bizarre lump remains a mystery, but theories abound. One suggests that it's a dense accumulation of oxides formed during the moon's nascent stages, when the satellite was still enveloped by primordial magma oceans. This lump, according to the theory, could have solidified during the final stages of cooling. However, the prevailing theory attributes the mass to the iron-nickel core of the very asteroid that excavated the South Pole Aitken Basin. Could the moon also harbor a labyrinth of lava tubes? Recent findings from underground topography studies point to the existence of a massive cave beneath the lunar surface. This cavern could be a relic of lunar volcanic activity that occurred over 3 billion years ago. As lava flowed, it cooled and hardened on the outside, forming a robust crust, while the molten material continued to flow within, carving out tunnels and caves. Numerous small pits observed on the moon's surface by NASA may be openings to these subterranean lava tubes. Should this theory be confirmed, these underground tunnels could serve as invaluable resources for future human space missions, offering not only shelter, but also potential sources of much-needed water for astronauts. But there's more. Something is stirring within the moon, something unexpected. Not a dramatic shift, visible from the outside, but deep within, where time seems to stand still, scientists have uncovered a hidden layer of what can only be described as moon goo. Remember the school lessons about the Earth's crust, mantle, and core? Like Earth, the moon possesses a similar layered structure. However, the moon's core is proportionally much smaller than Earth's. While Earth's core constitutes about a third of its total mass, the moon's core accounts for only 1 to 2%. Its diameter is roughly 1/5 of the moon's total diameter. This core is encased within a hard, rocky mantle. Yet nestled between these two layers lies this mysterious goo layer, and it's far more significant than one might imagine. This layer is soft and partially molten, ebbing and flowing like tides in our oceans. It expands and contracts, stretches and shifts, almost as if it were alive. Its movements are not random, but subtle and rhythmic. We've long known that the moon influences our seas, creating tides through its gravitational pull. But it turns out that we, in turn, influence the moon. This molten ocean responds to the intricate gravitational dance between Earth and the Sun. Furthermore, this molten layer may be composed of ilmenite, a fascinating material abundant in titanium, a strong and lightweight metal highly valued on Earth. Titanium finds applications in countless industries, from the construction of aircraft components to the creation of medical implants. Imagine a cosmos teeming with volcanic worlds, far beyond our familiar solar system. Let's embark on a journey through the celestial spheres to witness the raw power of tidal forces shaping the destinies of moons. From the sulfurous plains of Io, Jupiter's innermost moon, to the tantalizing possibility of an exomoon circling the distant exoplanet, WASP 49b, we are beginning to understand the intricate dance between gravity and geology. These forces, known as tidal heating, dictate whether a moon becomes a crucible of fire or a haven for hidden oceans. Consider Europa, another of Jupiter's moons, encased in a shell of ice. Here, tidal heating, generated by the gravitational tug-of-war between Jupiter and its other moons, keeps a vast, liquid ocean from freezing solid. This subsurface ocean, shielded from the harsh radiation of space, is a tantalizing prospect for the emergence of life. But the same tidal forces can manifest in dramatically different ways. Look at Io again. Devoid of a global ocean, Io endures relentless flexing and squeezing, a consequence of Jupiter's immense gravity. This ceaseless torment generates tremendous friction within the moon's mantle, resulting in the most intense volcanic activity in the solar system. Imagine towering plumes of molten rock erupting hundreds of kilometers into space, a landscape perpetually reshaped by fire and brimstone. Now, let's turn our gaze to the distant exoplanet WASP 49b. Astronomers have detected hints of a possible exomoon orbiting this gas giant, a moon potentially racked by volcanic activity on a scale we can scarcely imagine. If such volcanic exomoons exist, and all indications suggest that they do, it opens up a whole new vista in our understanding of planetary systems. Perhaps in the not-too-distant future, we will discover definitive proof of these fiery celestial bodies. Imagine peering through powerful telescopes, witnessing the glow of distant volcanoes erupting on moons orbiting alien suns. The universe is vast, and the possibilities are endless. We may soon find that volcanic worlds are far more common than we ever dared to dream. The cosmos may be filled with them. Imagine a world where even the moon, that familiar celestial body hanging in our night sky, holds secrets that could revolutionize our future. We're not just talking about moon rocks anymore. We're talking about a potential treasure trove of resources, hidden just beneath the surface. Consider ilmenite, a titanium iron oxide mineral. This isn't just any ordinary rock. This stuff is tough, incredibly strong, resistant to corrosion, and able to withstand intense heat. It's a material that finds its way into everything from spacecraft components to vital medical equipment, even everyday items like bicycles and laptops. Now, imagine the moon possessing a molten layer rich in this very mineral. Astronomers already envisioning lunar bases are buzzing with excitement. If we could access and utilize this ilmenite to construct structures, spacecraft, or even simple tools right there on the moon, it would be a complete game changer. The alternative: transporting materials from Earth, a prohibitively expensive undertaking. This discovery offers a tantalizing glimpse into a moon that is not a dead, lifeless rock, but rather a dynamic, almost living entity, with powerful forces churning beneath its desolate surface. NASA, using groundbreaking technology, has peeled back the moon's layers to reveal this hidden activity. The Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory, GRAIL, and the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, two dedicated space missions, were instrumental in this discovery. These aren't your typical telescopes. They don't just observe the surface. Instead, they employ sophisticated methods to measure invisible forces, such as the moon's gravitational field and its subtle variations over time. GRAIL, in a stroke of clever engineering, deployed two small spacecraft named Ebb and Flow. These spacecraft flew in tandem around the moon, meticulously measuring minute changes in the moon's gravitational pull. It was as if they were feeling the moon's invisible contours. Where the gravity was stronger, the spacecraft would drift closer together. Where it was weaker, they would separate slightly. This allowed scientists to map the moon's internal structure, even without setting foot on its surface. Sadly, the GRAIL mission concluded in December 2012 with a planned crash into the lunar surface. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, on the other hand, focused on capturing ultra-high-resolution images of the lunar landscape and gathering crucial data about its composition. By combining the data from both GRAIL and LRO, scientists were able to pinpoint the existence of this mysterious, molten layer. This discovery, however, throws a wrench into our existing understanding of lunar geology. How did this molten layer form? How long has it been there? And perhaps most intriguingly, how has it managed to retain its heat for millions upon millions of years? These are the million-dollar questions that now demand answers. The moon, like Earth, possesses a core that generates heat, but simply attributing the molten layer to core heat is an oversimplification. The moon's core is significantly smaller and less active than Earth's, producing far less heat. Furthermore, the moon is a much colder place overall, with surface temperatures plummeting to 200 degrees. How, then, could this subsurface layer remain in a semi-molten state? The answer remains elusive. Regardless, this discovery has profound implications. This subterranean goo could potentially explain several lunar phenomena. For example, astronomers have long been puzzled by moonquakes. Now, it's theorized that these seismic events may be caused by the shifting and movement of this semi-molten layer deep beneath the surface. But the implications extend far beyond our moon. If the moon, once considered a static, unchanging rock, harbors such dramatic internal activity, what about other celestial bodies? Could other planets, moons, or asteroids also conceal similar hidden dynamics beneath their surfaces? The discovery could even help us better understand our own planet, shedding light on the mechanisms behind tides and other geophysical processes. And the revelations don't stop there. Recently, massive cave systems, hidden for eons, have been discovered beneath the lunar surface. For over half a century, scientists have suspected the existence of these underground tunnels and caverns, known as lava tubes, formed by ancient volcanic activity. Millions of years ago, the moon was a geologically active world, prone to volcanic eruptions. As lava flowed across the surface, the outer layers cooled and solidified, forming a protective roof of dark hardened material. These are the dark patches we see on the moon today, the solidified remnants of ancient lava flows. Beneath this hardened crust, hot molten lava continued to flow. When the eruption ceased and the lava drained away, it left behind empty hollow tunnels, lava tubes. We see similar formations here on Earth, in volcanically active regions such as Hawaii and Iceland. However, the lunar lava tubes are on a scale unlike anything we've ever seen. In fact, they are believed to be among the largest and longest in the entire solar system. One such cave, located beneath the Sea of Tranquility, the landing site of Apollo 11, plunges to a depth of at least 340 feet. These vast subterranean networks have remained untouched for millions of years, hidden just beneath our feet until now. Imagine a future where humanity has a foothold on the moon. For decades, this was just a dream, but recent discoveries are turning science fiction into a potential reality. Using cutting-edge technology, scientists have peered beneath the lunar surface and found something truly remarkable: vast hidden cave systems. A team from the University of Trento in Italy spearheaded this incredible feat. They employed specialized radar technology, coupled with advanced computer analysis, to unveil what lies hidden beneath the moon's dusty surface. It works by sending radar waves that penetrate the ground. These waves then bounce back, carrying subtle clues about the structures lurking below. By meticulously analyzing the way these waves reflect, scientists can decipher the shape and size of these subterranean voids. The implications of this discovery are staggering. These lunar caves could provide natural shelters, shielding potential lunar colonists from the dangers of space. Think of it: protection from deadly radiation, relentless solar winds, and the constant threat of meteoroid impacts. NASA's research even suggests that some of these caves maintain a remarkably stable temperature of around 63 degrees Celsius, 117 degrees Celsius. That's an incredibly comfortable environment, especially considering the moon's harsh extremes. And the potential doesn't end there. There's even the possibility of finding water ice within these caves, a resource that would be invaluable for sustaining a lunar colony. Picture this. Instead of struggling to build habitats on the exposed lunar surface, humans could take refuge within these natural tunnels, constructing entire underground cities. Now, I know what might be crossing your mind. Could there be something else lurking in those dark depths? Could we stumble upon an unexpected lunar monster? While the possibility of discovering extraterrestrial life, perhaps even microbial organisms, within these caves is tantalizing, the odds of encountering actual animals or monstrous creatures are incredibly slim. The extreme conditions within these caves would likely preclude the evolution of complex life forms. But of course, the thought of what might be down there certainly fuels the imagination, conjuring up images straight out of a science fiction horror film. For now, researchers are proceeding with caution. The initial plan involves sending robots and drones to explore these tunnels first, assessing their stability and searching for potential hazards before risking human lives. This isn't just a U.S. endeavor either. China is also actively exploring the potential of using these lunar caves as future bases, signaling a growing international race to colonize the moon. Technological advancements are rapidly changing our understanding of the moon. Over the past decade, the resolution of lunar surface images has drastically improved, revealing numerous pits and depressions. Some of these pits are truly colossal, plunging hundreds of feet into the lunar crust. However, current technology still limits our ability to study the depths of these pits in detail. This makes the recent discovery of vast, interconnected cave systems all the more remarkable. Consider the scale of these underground spaces. Leonardo Carrere and Lorenzo Bruzzone, the researchers from the University of Trento, were ecstatic to finally confirm the existence of these lunar structures. They meticulously analyzed data collected by the Mini-RF instrument aboard NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, back in 2010. The original images lacked the clarity needed for definitive analysis, requiring the researchers to employ advanced data processing and modeling techniques. But why is this discovery so significant? The answer lies in the potential for creating sustainable lunar habitats. Instead of constructing fragile structures on the surface, vulnerable to the elements and radiation, we could potentially inhabit these natural caves. As planetary geologist Wes Patterson from Johns Hopkins University points out, even though we'd still need to transport materials from Earth to make these caves habitable, the overall process would be far simpler and more cost-effective than building from scratch on the surface. Based on the data collected, the Mare Tranquillitatis cave, for example, measures approximately 150 feet wide and extends up to 260 feet in length. That's roughly the size of a football field. This particular cave is located within a deep pit, aptly named the Mare Tranquillitatis pit, which likely formed when an ancient lava tube collapsed. Billions of years ago, the moon was a volcanically active world. Molten rock flowed across its surface, carving out subterranean tunnels known as lava tubes. Over eons, some of these tubes became unstable, collapsing in sections and creating the pits we see today. NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has already identified over 200 such pits on the moon, hinting at the existence of countless hidden caves waiting to be explored. In their published findings in Nature Astronomy, the researchers emphasized the potential of these caves to provide future astronauts with a safe haven, shielding them from the moon's unforgiving environment. And unforgiving it is. One of the most significant challenges of living on the moon is the extreme temperature fluctuations. During the lunar day, surface temperatures can soar to a scorching 250 degrees Fahrenheit, while plummeting to a frigid 200 degrees 129 at night. However, inside these caves, temperatures are expected to remain far more stable. A separate study conducted in 2022 utilized computer simulations to predict that some of these caves could maintain a comfortable and relatively constant temperature of around 63 degrees 17 degrees Celsius. That's a far more manageable environment for human habitation. Unfortunately, accessing these lunar caves won't be a walk in the park. The Mare Tranquillitatis cave, for instance, lies over 400 feet below the surface at the bottom of a steep, debris-covered slope. It would require some serious engineering to develop a safe and reliable way to reach the entrance. Imagine, if you will, a future where humanity has established a foothold on the moon. But getting there and staying there presents some serious challenges. One of the most pressing is shelter. How do we protect our astronauts from the harsh lunar environment? Clever engineering is essential to navigate the lunar surface. Consider the challenges of ascending and descending steep slopes. Perhaps jetpacks might offer a solution, or a sophisticated lunar elevator system. Maybe some other yet-to-be-invented technology will provide the answer. But one thing is clear. We must devise a way to transport astronauts safely and efficiently across the lunar terrain. And beyond transportation, there's a vast realm of discovery awaiting us. Radar technology holds immense promise in uncovering hidden lunar features. It could help scientists locate even more caves and lava tubes beneath the moon's surface. Envision a future spacecraft equipped with high-resolution radar, capable of mapping the intricate interiors of the pits already identified by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO. According to researchers, a comprehensive survey of this kind could be invaluable in pinpointing the optimal locations for future lunar bases and other exploratory endeavors. And there's another tantalizing possibility: water. Scientists have already detected frozen water on the moon, concealed beneath the surface in permanently shadowed craters. Even trace amounts are scattered across the lunar soil. Water, of course, is an indispensable resource for any lunar base. Discovering significant water deposits within these caves could transform the prospect of long-term lunar habitation from a dream into a tangible reality. All told, this discovery could be a game-changer for lunar exploration. The prospect of inhabiting natural caves on the moon offers a more practical and secure alternative to constructing surface-based structures. This could bring us a significant step closer to establishing a permanent human presence on the moon, where we can live and work for extended periods. Now, let's shift our focus to the moon's very origins. Several captivating theories attempt to explain its presence in our sky. And recently, a novel idea has emerged, vying for consideration. But before we delve into this newcomer, let's examine the most widely accepted hypotheses regarding the moon's formation. The capture theory posits that Earth's natural satellite was once a rogue celestial body, akin to a large asteroid. It supposedly formed elsewhere in the solar system before being ensnared by Earth's gravitational pull during a close encounter. The accretion hypothesis proposes that the moon coalesced in orbit around Earth, concurrently with our planet's emergence in the vastness of space. Then there's the fission theory, which suggests that at one point in its early development, Earth spun so rapidly that a portion of its material detached and began orbiting the planet. However, the giant impact theory reigns supreme as the prevailing explanation. It asserts that the moon originated from a cataclysmic collision between Earth and a hypothetical planet named Theia, a celestial body significantly smaller than Earth, perhaps about the size of Mars. The resulting debris gradually coalesced in orbit around Earth, eventually giving rise to the moon. And now, let's turn our attention to the new theory that has captured the imagination of scientists. According to this hypothesis, our satellite may have formed remarkably quickly, within a matter of hours after the collision between Earth and Theia. The material ejected from the two planets was likely propelled directly into Earth's orbit in the immediate aftermath of the impact. This material then rapidly coalesced to form the moon, leaving behind traces deep within Earth's mantle. In previous scenarios, Theia's remnants were believed to have been dispersed throughout space, intermingling with only a small fraction of material originating from Earth. But why then do we observe such striking similarities between the compositions of the moon and Earth? Could it be that Theia was isotopically and chemically similar to Earth? While not impossible, this seems unlikely. However, according to the new theory, a greater proportion of Earth's material, particularly its outer layers, contributed to the moon's formation, which could account for this compositional similarity. Yet another theory attempts to elucidate this perplexing similarity: the synestia model. This model proposes that our satellite formed within a swirling mass of vaporized rock resulting from the collision. However, this theory struggles to explain the moon's current orbit. The new single-stage theory offers plausible explanations for both the compositional similarities and the moon's orbit. It may also provide answers to previously unresolved mysteries. Because this scenario places the moon in a wider orbit and posits an interior that was not entirely molten, it can account for the satellite's tilted orbit and thin crust. In any case, to definitively validate any of these theories, we need to analyze future lunar samples that will be brought back to Earth by NASA's upcoming Artemis missions. Scientists will then be able to examine material from deeper beneath the moon's surface and compare the real-world data with these simulated scenarios. In the past, the Apollo missions yielded approximately 1/3 of a ton of rock and soil from our satellite. These samples revealed remarkable chemical similarities between Earth and the moon, suggesting a shared history. If the moon had formed elsewhere and been captured by Earth's gravity, its composition would likely be vastly different from our planet. But if the moon had formed concurrently with Earth, or if it had broken away from our planet, the types and proportions of minerals on the moon would mirror those on Earth. But the story of the moon is one written in stone, quite literally. But the lunar minerals tell a tale slightly different from Earth's. Imagine holding a piece of the moon in your hand. You'd find it contains less water than its terrestrial counterparts. Intriguingly, it's also richer in materials that solidify rapidly under intense heat. This observation lends significant weight to the giant impact hypothesis, the prevailing theory suggesting our moon formed from the debris of a colossal collision between Earth and another celestial body billions of years ago. But the secrets of the moon aren't confined to the samples brought back by astronauts. Meteorites originating from the moon are invaluable sources of data, offering insights that even the Apollo missions couldn't provide. These lunar meteorites hail from diverse locations across the lunar surface, unlike the Apollo samples, which were collected from a relatively small area near the equator on the near side of the moon. Our dedicated lunar exploration began in 1969, a monumental leap for mankind. Despite facing challenges, astronomers are confident that we will return to the moon soon, armed with enhanced knowledge and cutting-edge technology. However, Sometimes the most effective solutions are surprisingly old. An 800-year-old concept might prove more useful than advanced GPS technology and powerful rockets. The Fibonacci sphere. Researchers at a Hungarian university stumbled upon this idea while studying the moon. They believe it could unlock a deeper understanding of the moon's rotation and its slightly squashed shape as it orbits Earth. While we often picture planets and moons as perfect spheres suspended in space, the reality is quite different. Gravitational forces, rotational movements, and tidal effects cause them to resemble slightly deflated soccer balls. The GPS technology we rely on here on Earth already accounts for these imperfections, acknowledging our planet's flattened poles. To create an accurate mapping system for the moon, we need to do the same, accounting for its unique shape, known as a selenoid, the lunar equivalent of Earth's geoid. Because the moon is less compressed than Earth, scientists have, until recently, treated it as a simple sphere. But with numerous lunar projects on the horizon, including potential lunar settlements, greater precision is essential. Scientists now recognize the need to gather comprehensive data and construct a detailed model of the moon's true shape. This is where the Fibonacci sphere comes into play. This ingenious mathematical tool allows for the even distribution of points on a sphere. Scientists recently employed it to map approximately 100,000 points on the moon, utilizing data previously gathered by NASA. Their findings have provided crucial insights into the moon's shape. For example, we now know that the moon's poles are approximately 0.3 miles closer to its center than its equator. While this may seem like a minor detail, adjusting our GPS software accordingly before future lunar landings could prevent us from getting lost on the lunar surface. This level of mathematical precision hasn't been applied to lunar mapping since the 1960s. However, we already know its effectiveness here on Earth, making scientists better prepared for upcoming missions. This isn't the first time Fibonacci's discoveries have led to innovative solutions. His sequence has found applications in finance, agriculture, and computer science. Let's delve into the origins of this remarkable sequence. Legend has it that Leonardo Pisano, better known as Fibonacci, wasn't initially interested in mathematical sequences, but rather in rabbits. He devised an intriguing puzzle. What would happen if you placed a pair of rabbits in an enclosed space for a year? He established specific rules. All rabbits come in male-female pairs. They can reproduce after 1 month. Each pair produces another pair monthly, and all rabbits are invincible for the year. Applying these rules, he arrived at a series of numbers. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so on. Examining this sequence, you'll notice that each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones. The first 2 numbers represent the initial rabbit pair. The number 2 represents the original pair and their first offspring pair. As word spread about this fascinating sequence, mathematicians began to study it more closely. They observed this pattern frequently in nature, such as the arrangement of leaves on a stem or the spiral pattern of seeds in a sunflower. You can even conduct a simple experiment to observe this pattern. Grab some paper and a pen and attempt to draw the Fibonacci spiral. Start with a tiny circle, then gradually increase the size of subsequent circles using the Fibonacci numbers. The first circle should be a small dot, representing 0. The next circle, 1 unit. Another circle, still 1 unit. Continue this process, and you will see the circles form a spiral pattern. Even as it continues, imagine a hidden code, a mathematical sequence woven into the very fabric of existence. We're talking about the Fibonacci sequence, a series of numbers where each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on, stretching towards infinity. As this sequence unfolds, it manifests in a spiral, a shape that seems to govern growth and form throughout the natural world. You might have encountered the Fibonacci spiral as a symbol of hypnosis, a swirling pattern meant to entrance the mind. While the idea of instantly hypnotizing someone with a spiral might be far-fetched, its effect on our focus and optic nerves is undeniable. Stare at a spinning Fibonacci spiral for a while, and you might perceive objects shrinking or expanding, creating a disorienting yet fascinating illusion. It's not hard to see why some find this sensation mesmerizing, even hypnotic. This intriguing numerical sequence appears all around us, often unnoticed, yet it also has practical applications, like converting miles to kilometers. Take any two adjacent numbers in the sequence, say 13 and 21. Notice anything? 13 miles is approximately 21 kilometers. The same holds true for 34 and 55. It's a neat trick, a hidden relationship embedded in the numbers themselves. Now, consider music and mathematics. Seemingly disparate fields, perhaps, but ask Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and he'd likely disagree. From his earliest days, Mozart was fascinated by numbers, searching for hidden patterns and numerical messages within his compositions. Even his sister recalled him constantly doodling mathematical equations, even scribbling them on his musical scores. Some scholars even suspect that Mozart may have experimented with the Fibonacci sequence, using its ratios to create balance and harmony in his melodies. But the Fibonacci sequence extends far beyond music. It's said that Leonardo da Vinci, the ultimate Renaissance man, incorporated the golden ratio, closely related to the Fibonacci sequence, into his masterpieces, such as the Vitruvian Man and the Mona Lisa. Look closely at the proportions, the placement of features, and you might just see the influence of this mathematical principle. And what about architecture? The Parthenon, that iconic temple of ancient Greece, is believed to embody the golden ratio in its design. Observe buildings with perfectly spaced columns, and you can bet the architects drew inspiration from this mathematical guide. The Great Pyramid of Giza, though lacking official documentation, also exhibits proportions remarkably close to the golden ratio. Its very form suggests a deliberate application of this principle. Venture outdoors, into your garden, and you'll likely find more examples. Examine a pine cone. Notice the scales? They're arranged in a spiral pattern, following the Fibonacci sequence. Even the bones in our own bodies seem to adhere to these proportions. We have one torso, one head, and one heart. Then come the pairs: arms, legs, eyes, and ears. Consider the number 3. The composition of our limbs, the 3 main sections of our hand, the wrist, the palm, and the fingers, which themselves are divided into 3 segments. Even the lengths of our finger bones exhibit this ratio, allowing for smooth and efficient movement, especially when grasping objects. The Fibonacci sequence manifests in the natural world in countless ways. Observe the curling of ocean waves, the branching patterns of rivers as they split and flow. Even weather patterns can adhere to this rule. Whirlpools and hurricanes often form and expand in the same spiral pattern as the Fibonacci sequence. Zoom out, far beyond our planet, and the spirals continue. They're ubiquitous in space, and not by chance. Most galaxies, including our own Milky Way, are spiral galaxies. Imagine a young galaxy forming. Its stars don't appear simultaneously. Some develop faster, others more slowly. This uneven development causes gravity to pull in different directions, causing the young galaxy to spin like a disk. As it spins, the varying gravitational forces stretch it, forming the spiral arms we observe. On the other hand, if all the stars in a young galaxy formed at the same time, gravity would simply compress everything into an elliptical shape, a cosmic egg. Let's turn our attention to the moon. That shining sphere in the night sky, sometimes a curved sliver, sometimes a full disk, has a layered interior, much like Earth. One of these layers is the inner core. About 20 years ago, scientists studying the moon's rotation concluded that it possessed a fluid outer core, but the composition of the inner core remained a mystery. Was it solid, like rock, or molten, like liquid magma? Now, thanks to data collected from various missions, including the Apollo missions where astronauts gathered samples directly from the lunar surface, our understanding has improved. Scientists have also employed a technique called seismic data analysis. This method involves studying the propagation of sound waves through materials. Consider earthquakes on Earth. When an earthquake occurs, it generates waves that travel through the ground. By detecting and analyzing these waves, scientists can glean insights into Earth's internal structure. The same principles that help us understand our own world can be applied to other celestial bodies, like the planets in our solar system, or even our very own moon. When seismic events occur, moonquakes as they're known, they generate powerful sound waves that travel through the lunar interior. By meticulously analyzing these waves, like listening to the heartbeat of the moon, scientists can construct a detailed internal map. Imagine them peering inside, identifying distinct layers, determining their composition, and understanding their arrangement. To probe the moon's deepest secrets, scientists also employ a technique called laser ranging. This incredibly precise method measures the distance between Earth's surface and the moon. And the revelation? Our natural satellite possesses an inner core, a dense, solid sphere composed primarily of iron, much like Earth's own core. This lunar iron heart stretches approximately 310 miles in diameter, accounting for nearly 15% of the moon's total size. Picture a small iron ball nestled deep within the moon. Furthermore, researchers have uncovered compelling evidence supporting the theory that the lunar mantle, the layer between the surface and the core, has undergone significant movement throughout the moon's long history. This phenomenon, termed lunar mantle overturn, could explain the presence of iron-rich elements on the lunar surface. Imagine molten material from deep within the moon being carried upwards during volcanic activity, eventually solidifying as volcanic rock in the lunar crust. Some of the materials within this rock, being particularly dense, would then sink back down through the lighter crustal material, all the way to the core mantle boundary. It's a continuous cycle. Mantle material rises during volcanic eruptions, deposits iron-rich elements on the surface, and then descends once more. But another enduring mystery continues to puzzle scientists. What caused the moon's magnetic field to weaken and almost vanish over time? Now, with our newfound knowledge of the iron core and the global mantle overturn, we might be closer to understanding the intricacies of the moon's magnetic field. Unlocking the secrets of the inner core can illuminate not only the moon's history, but also the broader history of our entire solar system. One prevailing theory regarding the moon's origin posits a cataclysmic collision between the early Earth and another substantial object within our solar system. This is the giant impact hypothesis. The collision was so violent that it ejected a massive chunk of the primitive, molten Earth into space. While significant, it wasn't a huge piece relative to what remained. Picture a U.S. nickel placed next to a green pea. This gives you a sense of the size disparity between Earth and the Moon. This ejected chunk then entered orbit around our planet, an event that potentially occurred approximately 95 million years after the formation of our solar system. The object that collided with Earth may have been about 10% of Earth's mass and roughly the size of Mars. It makes sense, then, that Earth and the Moon share similar compositions. Of course, alternative theories exist regarding the Moon's formation. One suggests that Earth's gravitational pull simply captured a passing object. Imagine the Moon innocently drifting by when it was suddenly ensnared and pulled into Earth's orbit. There's even a more intriguing hypothesis, that Earth essentially stole the Moon from Venus. In that case, the Moon certainly found a better place, with a far superior view. While Earth and the Moon share similarities in terms of rocks and certain minerals, the Moon's atmosphere is drastically different. It's incredibly thin, composed of unusual gases, including potassium and sodium. Elements not typically found in the atmospheres of Mars, Venus, or Earth. Furthermore, lunar rocks are devoid of water. However, this doesn't imply a complete absence of water on the Moon. Long ago, in the 17th century, astronomers observed large dark patches on the lunar surface. One astronomer, believing they resembled oceans, named them Maria, the Latin word for seas. Other astronomers adopted this term when mapping the Moon. For example, Mare Tranquillitatis translates to Sea of Tranquility, the very spot where Apollo 11 made its historic landing. But these dark patches aren't actually oceans. They are expansive plains formed by solidified lava from ancient volcanic eruptions. These eruptions left behind smooth, flat areas known as basalt plains. In the late 1800s, one skywatcher determined that the Moon lacked an atmosphere. Without an atmosphere, there are no clouds and no air to prevent water from evaporating. Consequently, scientists initially believed the moon to be completely dry. However, in 1961, a physicist proposed a different idea. He suggested that water might exist in specific areas on the moon, known as permanently shadowed regions. These are areas where sunlight never reaches, remaining perpetually dark. In these frigid, sunless environments, water ice could potentially persist indefinitely. Imagine a place of eternal darkness, a realm of frigid cold where sunlight never penetrates. These are the shadowed craters of the moon, where temperatures plummet to unimaginable lows, so cold that any exposed ice would remain frozen for eons. When the Apollo astronauts ventured to the lunar surface, they gathered soil samples, hoping to find evidence of water. But the initial analysis yielded nothing. The scientific consensus shifted. The moon was declared utterly dry, a desolate wasteland. But the quest for lunar water didn't end there. In the 1990s, NASA redirected its focus to those perpetually shadowed craters. Instruments detected surprisingly high concentrations of hydrogen, a tantalizing hint that ice might indeed exist in these polar regions. Still, certainty remained elusive. Undeterred, scientists continued their investigation, eventually discovering hydrogen trapped within minuscule beads of volcanic glass. This was a crucial find. The moon today is volcanically inert, implying that water must have been present during ancient eruptions, perhaps in far greater quantities than currently found. Then, in 2020, NASA's SOFIA mission delivered the breakthrough everyone had longed for, definitive proof of water on the moon. It wasn't in vast oceans, as on Earth, but rather hidden within the grains of lunar dust or clinging to the surface, even in sunlit areas. A small amount, but enough to change everything. The question then arose: how did this water arrive on the moon? The early history of the moon, like that of most planets and moons in our solar system, was chaotic. Evidence suggests that comets, icy remnants from the solar system's formation, bombarded the lunar surface, delivering water from afar. This cosmic bombardment may even continue to this day, with micrometeorites constantly colliding with the moon. The interaction of these icy particles with the lunar dust and the relentless solar wind creates a complex and dynamic environment. The presence of water, even in small amounts, sparks the inevitable question: could it hold clues to the origin of life? The ice hidden within the moon's polar craters might offer a glimpse into the conditions that allowed life to flourish on Earth. Perhaps comets brought the essential ingredients for life to our planet, and perhaps remnants of those ingredients are preserved in the lunar ice. Now let's fast forward. A century ago, visionaries imagined the 21st century as a time of incredible technological advancements. They were remarkably prescient. Today, we stand on the cusp of establishing a permanent settlement on the moon. But to truly make the moon a second home, we need more than just transportation. We need communication. The ability to send a simple message, a casual, "Hey, how are you?" is vital to maintaining our connection to Earth. And that connection is coming. A lunar 4G network is currently under development, spearheaded by Nokia's Bell Labs. This is the same Nokia that began as a humble paper mill in 19th century Finland before revolutionizing the cell phone industry with iconic devices long before the advent of the iPhone. Once completed, the 4G network will be deployed via a lunar lander, utilizing specialized radio equipment. This isn't just a technological demonstration, it's a critical component of future lunar exploration. The Lunar Outpost rover will meticulously explore the Shackleton Connecting Ridge, while the Micronova rover will probe a lunar crater in search of ice deposits. When these rovers discover ice and capture images, that data will be transmitted first to the lander and then relayed back to Earth, a monumental achievement in human history. The importance of reliable communication in space cannot be overstated. Currently, astronauts rely on radio communication, but NASA aims to establish a lunar communication system capable of supporting high-resolution video. Effective communication is as essential as food and water for astronauts on long-duration missions. With lunar 4G technology, video calls from the moon could soon become a reality. But the benefits of lunar 4G extend beyond supporting human exploration. It could also play a crucial role in preserving Earth's biodiversity. As more and more species face extinction, scientists are collecting samples from animals, plants, and other organisms to store in biorepositories around the world. However, the conditions on Earth are not ideal for long-term storage of these precious genetic resources. That's why the idea of building a Noah's Ark on the Moon is gaining traction. The permanently shadowed region at the lunar South Pole offers an ideal environment for such a facility. Some lunar craters maintain a constant temperature of 320 Bute, the perfect temperature for long-term preservation of biological samples. It may seem like a stroke of luck, but these frigid lunar craters could become the ultimate safeguard for Earth's endangered species, a testament to human ingenuity and our commitment to preserving life, even in the face of potential catastrophe.